Howdy gamers, Old Gamer Guy here. Welcome to another Dawn of Man video and welcome back to Mobarf. Our primitive village has entered the Neolithic age, and I learned from Indiana Jones that Neo means new and Lithic means stone, so take notes because there will be a quiz later. But this is the tech tree for the Neolithic age. Buying into the Neolithic age required cereal domestication. So now apparently we have pulse domestication, barley, einkorn, and immer, which I guess are all types of grain. I'm not really sure. But at the top here we have underground mining, which is required for a flint mine, a copper mine, a tin mine, an iron mine, and deep mining, which I guess comes later. Yeah, deep mining is way over here in the Iron Age. Then we have thatching, which is required for a hut, a storage hut, a granary, stables, a weaver, an outfitter, a workshop, mud. I guess that's extracting mud. I don't know. And masonry. Well digging is required for a well and hydropower. Fortifications is required for palisade, a gate, a wooden platform, a watchtower, a wall, and sword making. That's very intriguing. Then after cereal domestication, we have pulse domestication, which is required for flax domestication, bitter vetch, chickpeas, lentils, and peas. I guess this is like the tree where we become farmers. Flax domestication, which is required for fruit tree domestication and flax. Then we have goat domestication, which is required for stables, stone stables, sheep domestication, and goat. I don't know what that means there at the bottom. It's goat domestication required for goat. We'll find out what that means. Sheep domestication required for pig domestication and sheep. Pig domestication required for cattle domestication and pig. Yeah, I don't know what that means there at the bottom of those lists. But moving on, weaving is required for a weaver, an outfitter, a banner, netting, wool cloth, and linen cloth. Stilting required for a bridge and donkey domestication. Megalithism required for a menhir, a dolmen, stone circle, stone carving, and rolling megalith. So without further ado, let's see what happens to Mobarf in the Neolithic age. This video ended up being quite a bit longer than the previous ones. I think you'll see why as we go along. But I ended up with a lot of footage. A lot of things happened. First of all, going into the Neolithic age gave us the ability to plant some crops. We got access to 3 different types of grain, and I'm planting 2 apiece. I should have planted a lot more, and this quickly becomes a problem. But you'll see as we go along that I end up planting a lot more crops in this little field over here. Our sledges fall apart over time and we have to make more. But more importantly, right here, we had our first raider attack. Our village is doing so well that a nearby raider camp heard about it and said, "Oh yeah, we've got to go get a piece of that action." They are very casual raiders, just out casually strolling on the riverbank. But they've already killed a couple of our people, which is unfortunate. I wasn't really sure that they were actually going to approach the village, so I sounded the all clear, but when I zoomed in on them and then sped up time, I saw them take a left across the river, and so I resounded the alarm and prepared for battle. But there were only 3 of them, and we were victorious. And then my people ran all the way across the village over here to celebrate. I'm not really sure why. But unfortunately, at that very moment, a cave lion attacked, and we lost another villager over here. There were actually quite a few animal attacks during the Neolithic age, but I think this is the only one that I'm showing, just because I had so much footage to put in this video. Next, we unlocked thatching, which gave me the ability to upgrade our tents into huts. And then I immediately proceeded to make a stupid mistake by scheduling 9 of our tents to be upgraded simultaneously. You can see in the upper left-hand corner it says 37 of 42. Those numbers have to do with the number of residential slots. We have 42 at this point, and it's actually going to change to 45 for some reason. I'm not sure why exactly, but it's going to change to 45. And then we have 37 people in the village right now. So that's basically 42 sleeping spaces, 45 sleeping spaces. And so what I thought was going to happen was that the tents would just be upgraded and it would not disrupt that residential space number. But instead, my little industrious people just ran over and started dismantling the tents. So they take them completely apart, then they gather the materials for the huts, and then they build the hut, which takes me from 45 down to 18 residential slots with 37 people still in the village. So that means a bunch of people will not have a place to sleep, and that cannot be good for morale, I'm guessing. As it turns out, you need a log, you need some sticks, some straw, and some mud to make the hut. But it was such a stupid mistake. It took me so long to fix this that I earned knowledge points and bought some more tech and still had not built a hut. Getting the logs is not a big problem. I'm creating a circle around the village here, and then all the trees within that circle will be cut down, so that'll give us a bunch of logs. Like I said, I wasn't growing enough grain, and that's where you can get straw. So I'm having a slow time getting straw, but then it wasn't until the next winter until I realized that I had the ability to extract mud, and I need mud to make these huts. So here I am putting down some mud extraction work areas. I'm not sure if I had realized that I needed to plant more grain at this point or not. But it was a long time before I actually got the materials to make one hut, but it finally happened. There you go. You can see it being built. The huts hold, I think, one more person than the tents do. And they can also, the people can go in there and cook. So they won't, not as many people will have to use the campfire hearth to cook their meals. There you can see some smoke rising from the hut. They're in there smoking out and celebrating. And here we are finally with our village almost completely upgraded, with our huts anyway. And there was another raider attack. The casual raiders have returned, strolling toward the village. Strolling death. There were actually quite a few more raider attacks that I could have put in this video, but like I said, I had to cut some things out. This video could easily have been over half an hour long. But right before this happened, I got the ability to build a bridge, and you can see the river kind of forks right there. I decided to build a bridge right here, and then I ended up putting some more fishing areas over on the other side of that fork to bring in some more fish. And there we go, our bridge is taking shape. Mobarf is coming along despite my stupid decisions. But I did learn a lesson, and so when I decided to upgrade my storage tents, I did it one at a time. So you can see that middle one is being taken apart. And then they will build a storage hut right there, and the storage huts will hold more stuff. Now you can see our storage huts are built, and over there in the right corner we are building a granary, which is another type of food storage structure. And then over here, this little thing with the slanted roof is a weaver. And then there on the left corner is an outfitter. The weaver will make cloth. The outfitter can make warmer clothes than what the crafter can make. And here we have a stable. So now we have the ability to start capturing some animals, bringing them back to camp, and getting some resources from the animals in camp. Here I am telling my villagers to capture a couple of young boars. You can only capture the young. The adults must be slaughtered. Oddly enough, the process of actually capturing the young animals seems to be walking up to them and talking to them like a primitive Dr. Dolittle and persuading them to come back to camp. So you're going to see our villagers approaching there, and then we're going to slaughter the adults right in front of the young ones, and then somehow successfully persuade them to come back to camp anyway. Stick with me, pig. I'll make a bacon out of you. I'll make a star out of you. But you can get goats, and once they're in camp, you can get milk from the goats. And then the mouflon are like primitive sheep, and you can shear them periodically and then make warm clothes. So it's good to start getting animals back in town, although you have to feed them straw, so that means even more straw is needed. But here we are about to dig a well. So we will have another water source next to our camp, which is nice. We can start to make margaritas once we figure out how to make ice. I wonder if they ever get the ability to make a still of some kind, and then they can get drunk and party. That would be fun to watch. Now we're going to do a quick flyover. You'll see on the left-hand side, you'll notice that I've got quite a few more crops planted in our field, although my planting pattern is kind of random. I eventually end up fixing that, making it more like a grid. But here you can see this old guy with this sledge, and he's coming over here to build, or to dig, I guess, a flint mine. I don't know if these mines are an unlimited source, but at the very least we'll have another large source of flint right here. And it looks like their status is automatically on mining, so somebody should automatically come over here and get to work. Now here we have gotten the ability to basically make our own Stonehenge. These single megaliths are called menhirs, so I'm going to place one right there. And there is the full-fledged stone circle. Barf hinge. And I'm going to place barf hinge over here next to our crops. That seems kind of appropriate. But all I'm doing is placing the work areas. I really have no idea how to get my people working on this. I eventually figure it out, but it takes a little while. I sort of accidentally figure it out, as you'll see. But over here you can kind of notice maybe that we have some more burial mounds. We lost a lot of people during the Neolithic age. Animal attacks, old age, raider attacks. It was a tough time for the people of Mobarf. But speaking of raiders, we need some more defense, so I'm going to build some watchtowers. I really had no idea what these watchtowers would do when I placed these originals, but and I actually ended up moving these eventually, but these were the original watchtowers I put down. I put 2 along the river because that's where the raiders seem to be coming from. And then for more defense, I started building a wall with some gates. And you can see that I agonize over the perfect placement of the gate. But building all this requires a lot of logs, so we're going to have to cut down quite a few trees to get all this done. But that's okay. We need to keep our little people busy. Sometimes the trader guy has logs for sale, but not always. And there you can see the wall taking shape in the background. And right here is where I figured out what to do about those megaliths, because there was an animal attack over here. And then as I was moving the camera back toward the village, I just happened to see a megalith right there. Clicking on it gives the ability to have somebody come over with a pick and get to work. I had seen these megaliths before, but I had forgotten about them. So that little guy carved out a megalith stone, and now clicking on the stone gives the option to prepare it for transport. So somebody will come over here with the proper materials and they will make basically a rolling platform with some rope to pull it. And then eventually they'll start pulling it where it needs to go. One guy initially came over here and started pulling the megalith along, and so it was really, really slow, and then people came over and started joining him to help him. So it sped up a little bit, but you'll see somebody here in a second. They gave up and they're going back to town to make a sandwich or something, take a nap. So it takes a while to get this megalith over where it needs to be. But my industrious little primitives will stick to it until it's done. There you can see our wall is still being constructed. And we are having another raider attack. I could have shown a few more raider attacks, and I could have shown a bunch of animal attacks, but I did not want this video going super long. It's already longer than I like to make them, but that's okay. You could see a guy ran up and got in the watchtower. I think there are 2 people in the watchtower. And they will start shooting their bows down at the raiders, which is cool. But the raiders shoot back. And we lose a few villagers right here. But the raiders stupidly run in one at a time. And we win yet another battle. And I decided to go ahead and move. At this point, I decided to move the watchtowers inside the walls. So I dismantle them and start building more. And while that is going on, I get the notification that our menhir is now in place. The megalith was finally delivered over here. And now our little people can come over and worship this thing. I'm not sure what good it will do them, but they have a place to go and worship. Now I have enough knowledge to buy my way into the Copper Age, but it gives me a little warning, and it says it is highly recommended that you fortify your settlement and have enough people and weapons to defend from raiders. So I backed on out of that. I decided to go ahead and at least finish my walls and finish building a few towers on the inside of the walls. There you can see our crop area is a little more organized, and we've got quite a bit more going on over there at this point. The wall is definitely coming along. In fact, it looks like it's finished. And then we have some villagers slowly struggling, pulling a menhir or pulling a megalith along. And they almost get it over here to the site of the future stone circle, Barf Hinge, when more raiders attack. It appears we are surrounded by casually strolling raiders who stupidly attack villages with a group of 3. Those gates have doors on them, but they don't automatically shut for an attack, and I don't know if maybe there's a way to manually close them. I'm not sure. But more importantly, you can see our towers do the job right there. We did not lose any villagers. The one tower got damaged a little bit, but that's okay. The battle was successful for our side. So everybody could get back to work. The megalith was delivered. We need several more megaliths before we can actually make the stone circle, Barf Hinge. And this may be a mistake. This might be a big mistake, but I decided at this point to go ahead and enter the Copper Age. My wall is complete. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 watchtowers. So we are now officially entering the Copper Age. And it says the mammoth has gone extinct, and then it's also going to say that the woolly rhino has gone extinct. So unfortunately, we no longer have the opportunity to slaughter those animals. But we are now officially in the Copper Age. We will check out the Copper Age in the next video, but for now, as always, thanks very much for watching.